llama la atención que solamente haya soñado con él una vez en estos 25 años. Yo me encontré con Pablo en una fuente y él me abrazaba.
Y fortalecimiento de la justicia del señor presidente y de su gabinete ministerial, deseo sumarme todos los años de cárcel que sean necesarios para contribuir a la paz de mi familia, a la paz de Colombia.
Pablo Escobar no, o sea, es simplemente un granito de arena de esos millones de vidas de estadounidenses a los que ustedes se refieren.
Pablo Escobar was one of the most notorious figures in criminal history. He was known for his criminal activities, drug empire, and political career. But what was his life like behind the chaos and infamy? Behind every successful man stands a greater woman. This woman is named Maria Victoria Henao, later known as Maria Isabela Santos Caballero, the wife of the legendary leader of the Medellin cartel. Maria Henao and Pablo Escobar's relationship was considered a blend of fascination, speculation, loyalty, fear, consequences, and hardship. To the public, Henao was a mysterious yet familiar figure in Pablo Escobar's narrative. Being married to the notorious Colombian drug lord had placed Henao at the center of danger, controversy, and scrutiny. But the central question is, how much connection Henao has to her husband's drug business? Undoubtedly, when someone thinks of a drug lord or cartel leader, they would assume that it's a family-run type of business, very much like a mafia ranking system, where every member of the family holds a certain position in the cartel. In some cases, it is true. For example, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel in Mexico, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, made his wife, Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia, the financial chief of the cartel. Emma Coronel, the wife of El Chapo, the former leader of the Sinaloa cartel, was known to manage and operate her husband's business when he was sentenced to a lifetime in prison. Clara Elena Laborin Archuleta, the wife of Hector Beltran-Leyva, the former leader of the abandoned Beltran-Leyva cartel, tried to take charge and reclaimed their cartel's turf in Acapulco. Unfortunately, her quest was unsuccessful and she was arrested. Basically, the structure of a cartel is made up of family, and the drug lords' wives usually play a major role in their husband's business. Except Maria Henao had a different story than most narco wives. She wasn't included at all in Pablo Escobar's criminal career. Henao was truly the woman behind her husband. So let's take a detour to Pablo Escobar's story, because Henao is well known for her connection to the king of... Therefore, it's crucial for us to learn more about Pablo Escobar. Who was Pablo Escobar? Well, he was only the founder and sole leader of the infamous Medellin cartel. Escobar was born in Rio Negro, Colombia in December 1949 into a family of poverty. He later grew up in Medellin along with his 6 siblings. His father was a small-scale farmer, and his mother was a teacher. Though they were poor, Escobar's parents made sure their kids were provided with an education. Yet Pablo Escobar wasn't able to complete his studies and ended up dropping out of school at 17. This was the beginning of his criminal career. Escobar started involving himself in small crimes like selling illegal cigarettes and fake lottery tickets. Eventually, he participated in motor vehicle theft. By the early 1970s, he and his peers were working for other drug smugglers and organized kidnapping for ransoms. Later, Escobar tried to return to school, but the street life made it hard for him to fit in with the schooling system, so he quit before he could graduate. By 1976, Escobar founded the Medellin cartel and established major smuggling routes in Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and eventually the United States. Their cartel was able to distribute from Colombia through North and South America, which brought a massive source of income. The same year, the drug lord married Maria Victoria Henao. Their relationship was discouraged by the Henao family because they were not impressed by Pablo Escobar's reputation. No matter who he was, the man was born into a low-class family. Therefore, they looked down on him. Also, because of the age difference. Henao was 15 and Escobar was 26, but Maria Henao was determined to marry this man, so they eloped. So how did their relationship form? How did a 15-year-old meet and fall in love with a drug lord? Was it really a beautiful love story or a glass-half-full relationship?
En ese momento tenía 12 años y medio más o menos. Pablo era un hombre mucho más mayor que yo, 11 años mayor, y tenía la experiencia de la vida que yo no tenía.
Tantas cosas que hemos vivido, uno no las puede olvidar. Yo también era muy allegada a Pablo, entonces éramos como 3 en 1. Aquí todas fuimos pequeñas y trozas. Ella era alta y troza. Tan joven y tan desarrollada ya como una mujer hecha y derecha, muy atractiva.
It turns out Escobar and Hinao met when she was much younger. Hinao was a young woman who was still in high school. They lived in close proximity to each other. According to Hinao, Escobar was a person of influence in their area, almost like a community leader. People would come to him whenever they needed assistance. Her parents were against the relationship, especially her mother, so the two had to engage in a heavily guarded courtship. Call it a mother's instinct, but Hinao's mother knew Escobar was up to no good.
O sea, le tenía prohibido que me agarrara de la mano. Yo podía conversar con él, pero no podíamos tener ningún contacto físico.
Él iba a mi oficina cuando yo estaba ya trabajando y me decían, yo le quiero regalar este disco, le quiero llevar este anillo, ¿cómo hacemos? Yo le decía, con todo el respeto, pues te digo, primero hay que consultar con doña Nora. Entonces ya llegué donde doña Nora, vea que este disco, vea que este anillo, vea que tal cosa. Doña Nora, yo se lo voy a entregar. Ella me decía, usted pues entonces me va a ayudar a que se, ¿a qué? A que se acabe de perder esta muchacha, enamorarse más. Doña Nora, entre más la apriete, más se enamora.
Their secretive courtship was distant, yet hopelessly romantic. Hinao was drawn to Escobar's charisma and allure. Hinao revealed that Escobar was her first love, and they shared her first kiss when she was just 13.
¿Recuerdas exactamente la primera vez que nos encontramos con él a escondidas?
Ay, sí, Johnny. Ese susto que yo tenía, yo sentía que no iba a poder llegar a verlo.
Ya se dieron un beso, ellos se abrazaron y yo pues...
Ahí fue el primer beso.
Robado prácticamente.
¿El primer beso robado fue ese?
Fue un beso robado, sí.
¿Cuántos años?
13 años.
Tenía?
Tenía 23.
No le llevaba sino 10.
24.
Hinao romanticized the start of their relationship on a much grander scale. She had numerous illusions and dreams that a young girl ought to have, yet innocence doesn't remain forever. Eventually, Hinao learned that her relationship with Escobar wasn't entirely perfect and fairy tale-like. The couple was first involved intimately when Hinao was 14. She felt like her first time was forced and involuntary. The 14-year-old was by Pablo Escobar, yet she was too young to understand. Growing up in a traditional Catholic family, Hinao wasn't informed about intimacy. She was completely vulnerable.
Tuve una relación con él que yo tampoco entendía. Yo no sabía que era una relación sexual ni cuáles eran las consecuencias de eso.
To make matters worse, Hinao was unaware she was coerced into getting rid of the pregnancy by Escobar.
Pablo me llama y me pregunta que yo cómo estoy. Y yo le contesto que bien, o sea, con toda la ingenuidad de una niña. Entonces él ahí es donde me invita que si lo acompaño donde una amiga de él un momento. Y yo voy en función de acompañarlo donde una amiga de él, no le pregunté para qué, ni cuál era la amiga, ni de qué se trataba. Y la señora me dice a mí, niña, vea, súbase a esta camilla y empieza como a hacer el procedimiento, ¿cierto? Y yo le pregunto que qué pasa, pues, que de qué se trata, y me dice que no me preocupe, que es para tener una prevención por si yo estoy embarazada.
Even after so many years have passed, Hinao never told anyone about this incident. She took her late husband's words to heart and kept the entire ordeal a secret. It's as if Hinao has been living under Escobar's spell since the day she met him.
Él me decía que era un tema entre él y yo, que no lo podía comentar a nadie. Yo le hacía caso a él y le hice caso, tanto caso que me demoré 44 años para poder abrir el corazón y contárselo a mi hijo y podérselo contar después a mi hija.
Yet after everything, Hinao still held much love for Escobar, or perhaps she was too young to comprehend. However, there was no doubt she loved this man and was preparing to marry him. It was as if she lived in a dream, and Escobar was her Prince Charming. Faced with Hinao's parents' disapproval of their marriage, the couple ran away to seek approval from her grandmother. They were like a rebellious Romeo and Juliet.
Fue porque Sentía mucha presión por parte de mi madre, muchas limitaciones y sentía que me estaba arrebatando el amor de mi vida, que no me lo estaba dejando disfrutar, que lo que no nos vamos y nos casamos, que yo quiero vivir contigo y quiero vivir en paz. Y me fui con esa ilusión a los 15 años y poder llegar cada noche y abrazar el príncipe azul.
Of course, the two were married by the end of this ordeal.
Y me casó el mismo cura que me bautizó. Que el hombre que amas te lleve ante el altar es como un regalo de la vida. En ese momento de mi niñez.
Keep in mind that Hinao had no idea about her husband's role in the drug smuggling industry, so she basically married someone who she didn't really know. Hinao's dream had become a reality. She was finally married to her Prince Charming. She continued to romanticize her newlywed life, but instead of happily ever after, Hinao had to learn to adopt the role of an inferior in her marriage, because her husband was never straightforward and honest with her about his business.
En aquella primera ventana de esta casa, ahí vivimos nuestros primeros meses de casados. Entonces,
La luna de miel.
todo
Esa
como
fue la verdadera luna de miel.
había tanta ilusión, tanto sueño en todo eso que es una mezcla de alegría desde mi niñez y de nostalgia por todo lo que pasó muchos años después. Tengo que reconocer que desde ese momento, o sea, yo tenía mucha ilusión, amaba a Pablo, lo esperaba siempre con...
Hasta altas horas de la noche.
Hasta altas horas de la noche y desde ahí yo recuerdo que pasé muchas noches de dolor, con muchas lágrimas y en vela, esperando a
Que él llegara.
que él llegara.
Maria Hinao's illusions and hopefulness for her relationship grew dimmer with every passing day, mainly because she had no control over the marriage, which is not a strange custom in the traditional household where Hinao was raised. However, it doesn't mean she had to like it.
Se iban varios días y uno, ¿para dónde vas? Porque él siempre me decía, me voy a perder, pero no vas a decir, porque si le digo a Tatica que me voy, ay, me dice que para dónde voy. No, yo me voy a ir 3 días, se iban por lo general un jueves y llegaban sábado o domingo a sus negocios.
Escobar was like a supervillain, living under a secret identity. On weekdays, he was a working-class family man, but during the weekends, he disappeared to become a mob boss. The couple had their first child before she even finished school. It's impossible to imagine your husband and son attending your high school graduation, but it happened to Hinao. She became a mother before she became a woman.
Yo tuve a mi hijo en cuarto bachillerato y después, cuando me gradué, el último día que estuve en el liceo, vinieron Pablo y Juan Pablo a darme el título de bachiller. Me parecía una persona atractiva, especial, era muy atento con las mujeres y por eso me enamoré de él. Yo nunca manejé la parte de negocios con Pablo. Siempre ocupé su posición de esposa y de madre de mis hijos, únicamente.
Hinao's life after marriage was full of uncertainty, but she was flooded with material comforts and a grand living provided by Escobar. It was after their marriage that Escobar began to descend the social and criminal ranks. While the Medellin cartel was formed in the early 1970s, it grew significantly after Escobar's encounter with various drug lords on a farm in April 1978. By the end of that year, they had managed to move over 19,000 kilograms, or 40,000 pounds of cocaine, to the United States. At the same time, the demand for the white powder in America was inclining rapidly, making Pablo Escobar one of the wealthiest men in the world. The drug lord went from rags to riches. With the unfathomable amount of wealth, Escobar began immersing himself in a luxurious lifestyle. The man acquired a massive piece of land in Antioquia, Colombia, and built an extravagant estate he called Hacienda Nápoles, which means Naples Estate. The estate was accommodated with a Spanish colonial house, a mesmerizing garden, a lake, a zoo, and many other amenities for his family. And this place housed many beautiful memories of the Escobar family.
Bueno, como la tierra más importante es la Hacienda Nápoles, que está en poder del Estado colombiano. muchas fincas que fue comprando cuando fue prófugo de la justicia, de las cuales yo muchas no tuve ni acceso ni conocimiento.
To the public, Pablo Escobar was an average businessman, but to the criminal world, he was a massive drug lord who made millions from trafficking every single day. Yet it seems like his wife had not the tiniest clue about his growing empire, or anything about his life for that matter. It's as if the couple were living in two completely different worlds.
Yo no tengo claro a cuánto pudo haber llegado la riqueza de mi marido. Ni me participó, ni me contó, porque en una cultura tan machista como la colombiana, el hombre no le participa a la mujer de qué tiene realmente o no. No creo pues en la absoluta riqueza como se habla de Pablo Escobar, no. O sea, por lo menos no fue lo que yo conocí o lo que quedó después de su muerte. Nada que ver, me parece que es más fantasioso o más mitológico que real.
By the early 1980s, Escobar decided to transition into politics. It was the drug lord's dream to one day become the president of Colombia, but due to his impoverished upbringing, he couldn't afford to complete his education and pursue a career in politics. But now, Escobar had enough money to basically do anything he wanted. It was time for him to fulfill his long-time dream of becoming a politician. In 1982, Pablo Escobar was elected as an alternate member of the Chamber of Representatives. Though only an alternate member of the Liberal Party, Escobar was granted parliamentary immunity and the right to a diplomatic passport under Colombian law. Through his new position, the drug lord began polishing his image by committing to philanthropy and charitable work. He spent millions on reconstructing lower-class communities in Medellin. He built houses, schools, football fields, and numerous other community projects. Escobar won the hearts of many people and became a popular figure for his philanthropic work. Pablo Escobar became famous. He successfully entered the Colombian Congress and reached the height of his glory. Everything was better than ever. However, life always has a way of flipping the switch on your party. Escobar's triumph was short-lived, thanks to a man named Rodrigo Lara Bonilla, who became the new Minister of Justice and Escobar's opponent. Lara Bonilla had been after Escobar since his arrest in 1976. That year, Escobar had been arrested for possessing, but he managed to avoid legal trouble through bribes. Bribing federal authorities and law enforcement officers to manipulate the system was a common practice for cartels. Pablo Escobar was well known for his silver or lead tactic. If you were willing to cooperate with Escobar, he would offer you silver, meaning he'd pay you handsomely. But if you rejected his bribe, he would have you killed. The drug lord evaded legal problems for years using bribery and intimidation, and Rodrigo Lara Bonilla was the one to expose his wrongdoings to the public. Once the news was released, Escobar fought hard to maintain his position within Congress, but in the end, he was forced to announce his retirement. The failure to preserve his political standing greatly upset Pablo Escobar, and you didn't get to upset the drug lord without consequences. Escobar was the type of man who would always have the last word. 3 months later, Rodrigo Lara Bonilla was by Escobar's hitmen. The drug lord became the government's target. Maria Henao recounted the time right before and after Rodrigo Lara Bonilla's death. It was considered one of the most frantic periods of her life. She was pregnant with her daughter Manuela and had to flee to the country of Panama.
Yo creo que el momento más difícil en mi vida fue un antes y un después, a partir de la muerte del ministro Lara Bonilla, cuando yo tenía 8 meses y medio de embarazo. Empecé a sentir que la vida se convertía como en un tsunami que me arrasaba y no pude con la fuerza de ese tsunami. ¿Por qué Panamá? No tengo una respuesta en ese momento, como en tantos momentos de mi vida. Fue una decisión de Pablo, que allá nos encontraríamos, acá nos encontraríamos. Y bueno, yo no tenía otra opción que llegar donde él dijera que había que llegar. Recuerdo el momento en el que llegamos. Yo venía sola en un helicóptero pequeño. Venía con mi hijo y el médico con su equipo por si el parto tenía que ser en medio de la selva.
As you can see, Henao listened to her husband unconditionally. Maybe she was aware of her husband's suspicious activities, but chose not to ask about it because it was the best option for her. Their relationship was built on lies, mysteries, and manipulations from the beginning. Therefore, it remained that way throughout the marriage. Hinao was only focused on raising and caring for her children.
Recuerdo que estábamos muy angustiados y muy desesperados de no saber ni a dónde íbamos a llegar, pero con la tranquilidad de ver tierra y de tocar un poco la tierra, que veníamos hacía unas buenas horas por la selva, con mucho miedo, muy bajito. Y bueno, mi hijo todo el tiempo me preguntaba, mamá, ¿cuánto falta para llegar? ¿Cuánto falta para llegar? Y yo le respondía sin tener la menor idea de lo que faltaba, pero le decía cada vez que faltaba menos y que faltaba menos. Me preguntaba, pero yo, ¿por qué tengo que correr? O sea, yo estoy en embarazo, tengo mi hijo, ¿correr de qué? Pero bueno, como la vida de Pablo siempre fue como una montaña rusa, había que irse adaptando como esposa a las cosas que él dijera. Que le dio, abrazó tanto a mi hijo en ese momento de tanta frustración porque había perdido su colegio. Sí, yo me acuerdo de las mañanas y las tardes que Sebastián salía en su motico a recorrer todo este lugar.
However, the life of Maria Hinao never got any easier, especially after Escobar became the most wanted man in Colombia. Her journey as a wife and mother became a game of hide and seek. One of the most painful moments of Hinao's life was when she had to part with her newborn daughter.
Los primeros días de vida de Manuela fueron en esta casa. Acá estuvo 20 días y de esta casa me despedí yo de ella cuando se fue ahí para Colombia porque no teníamos opción. Pablo me pidió que había que mandarla para Colombia. Así que mi despedida aquí de ella porque no la pude ir a llevar al aeropuerto tampoco porque era riesgoso.
Los vecinos dicen que en el penthouse, que es un penthouse bastante bello, fuera, vivía la esposa de Pablo Escobar. Dicen los vecinos, que son los que más conocen a los habitantes del edificio. Ese era el único piso que estaba habitado, el penthouse, por esa familia exclusivamente. Los otros pisos estaban desocupados.
The constant threats and dangers faced by Hinao and her family were uncountable. The woman has survived death many times, not knowing when peril will fall upon her and her kids. On January 13th, 1988, a car loaded with explosives was sent to the neighborhood where Hinao and her children were staying, causing many deaths and injuries. The impact of the blast was so severe that her daughter, Manuela, who was a toddler at the time, almost lost her hearing.
El coche bomba realmente fue por la parte de atrás, que entró, que se quedó ahí, que hizo un cráter de como de 8 metros de diámetro. Cuando se acercó, uno de los porteros se fue a mirar qué era lo que estaba pasando en el fondo del edificio y cuando se acerca ya, explota el coche bomba y él se mata.
The attack was suspected to be the work of the Cali Cartel, a rival gang of Pablo Escobar. The only moment when Hinao felt the most settled was probably when Escobar was serving his sentence at La Catedral prison in 1991. La Catedral was a luxurious prison system that Escobar built for himself. Yes, that's right. The drug lord managed to strike a deal with the Colombian government not to extradite him to the U.S., reduce his sentence to 5 years, and allow him to construct his own prison. Although the United States was against the Colombian government making this deal with Pablo Escobar, it was still done. Escobar spent millions on building La Catedral, a prison system that was not only luxurious, but also catered to his every need.
Yo tuve muchas noches de amor en este lugar. Teníamos un cuarto muy especial, había una chimenea que era muy romántica y a mí me encantaba el juego. Así que prendíamos la chimenea, nos tomábamos un champán, por ejemplo. Y bueno, en esos ratos hacía de cuenta que, o sea, no me enteraba siquiera que estaba en la catedral o que estaba en una prisión. Y yo sentí que tenía toda la esperanza de que este fuera el fin de toda esta historia, porque él me hablaba de que iba a estudiar, que quería hacer la carrera de periodismo, estaba averiguando con universidades cómo empezar, tenía proyectos lindos que me hacían pensar que esto iba a tener un buen fin.
He now thought that everything would finally be over once Escobar served his sentence. Yet again, her dreams of a happy family were crushed to dust.
While hundreds of soldiers and police intensified their manhunt today, embarrassed authorities were still trying to figure out how Escobar could have escaped from a prison surrounded by the Colombian army.
Pablo Escobar escaped once he figured out the government wanted to tighten security on him by moving him to a more standard prison. The entire country was on a manhunt for the drug lord. Escobar was spending all his time running from the authorities, while his family suffered from attacks on all sides. At one point, the CIA had Henao and her kids in their custody, hoping they could get Escobar to surrender.
Estábamos en una situación muy límite de seguridad, de riesgos de vida, y Pablo estaba en conversaciones con el Estado colombiano para poder volverse a entregar y a cambio de eso tener la protección de nosotros como familia y que nos consiguieran algún país en el mundo para podernos ir a vivir y a exiliar. El objetivo era que yo pudiera hablar con Pablo y presionarlo para que se entregara, y para mí era imposible porque yo no tenía contacto con él. Nosotros estábamos rodeados de seguridad y no teníamos cómo mandarle una razón.
It was that last phone call that Pablo Escobar made to Henao and her son that led to his death. During the call, Escobar assured her that he was safe and that he was doing everything for them. Henao was deathly afraid, but hoped to see her husband again.
Mister, de todas maneras, cuídese mucho. Usted sabe que todos lo necesitamos.
Esté tranquilita, mi amor. Usted sabe que yo lucho por ustedes. Yo no tengo otro incentivo en la vida sino luchar por ustedes. Si yo estoy metido en una cueva, estoy muy seguro. Esté tranquilita, que yo estoy muy seguro ya mismo de la parte.
Unfortunately, Maria Henao and her kids never got to see their husband and father again. Pablo Escobar was eliminated by the Colombian authorities in a shootout.
La mamá lo reconoció. La mamá desde que llegó, inclusive, pues que lo vio, dijo, gracias Dios mío. Esa fue la expresión de ella.
¿Él estaba armado?
No vi armas. En el momento ahí no vi armas, pero me imagino que sí. Por lo nutrido que fue la balacera que precedió a la muerte de él, creo que sí estaba armado.
The entire nation was overcome with a wave of mixed emotions at the news of Escobar's death. People who loved the drug lord mourned and cried over his death, while those who hated the man were celebrating. A burst of joy, celebration, sadness, numbness, and mourning took over the country of Colombia. Interestingly, Pablo Escobar's funeral was by far one of the most hectic events in the history of Colombia. More than 25,000 people gathered at the funeral home and burial site to take a last look at the former Medellin cartel leader. The aftermath of Escobar's death for his family was horrific. Maria Henao was left to pick up the pieces from her husband's past. She had no time to mourn. Henao had to find a way to protect herself and her children.
Para mí fue como el fin de mi vida. Yo sentí que seguíamos nosotros, que me iban a matar a mí y a mis dos hijos. Se me ocurrió escribir una carta al segundo día de la muerte de Pablo para enviársela a uno de los paramilitares con más poder y más peligroso que tenía en ese momento.
Maria Henao, a woman who never had anything to do with her husband's criminal business, had to sit down to negotiate with other cartel leaders, begging them and paying them millions of dollars in exchange for her and her children's lives.
Y bueno, ese primer encuentro no fue fácil, no solamente con él, sino con todos los capos, porque estaban enojadísimos con Pablo y veían en mí esa imagen de él, y tampoco tenía la vida. Iba a pedirla para que me dejara seguir estando en este mundo con mis hijos.
After all the chaos, Henao finally managed to secure her family's safety. She wanted to start a new life with her kids, but to do that, they needed a new identity. They could no longer carry the name Escobar. Maria Henao legally changed her name to Maria Isabel Santos Caballero. Soon, Henao and her children left Colombia to seek asylum in Argentina. So Maria Henao did not get her happily ever after like she had hoped. Decades have passed since Pablo Escobar's death, and Henao's perspective of her late husband has evolved. He's no longer her Prince Charming or the gentleman of her dreams.
Pablo porque estaba muy enojada con él por tantas infidelidades.
Yes, she knows her husband wasn't an honest or faithful man. Yes, she suffered a lot from Escobar's actions.
A ver, la verdad que he pagado un precio tan alto por amar.
But no, she never regretted falling in love with him. Pablo Escobar was a large shadow that shaded most of her life, and she has spent half of her life running away from it.
Es increíble recordar como toda la historia y todo el horror con una persona que no se enojaba, que cuidaba el trato con sus empleados, que nos hacía sentir su familia, cómo cuidaba a mis hijos, que muy pocos padres dentro de la cotidianidad les puede pasar algo así.
Now, Maria Henao and her family must learn to heal from that dark shade. The recovery process will be long and hard, but hopefully, time will mend their broken fate. Do you think Pablo Escobar is to blame for his family's pain and suffering? Would Maria Henao be different if she had never met the drug lord? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Please, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.